Welcome to Step by Step. We come here every week at 4 o'clock on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, and take you through a furniture piece, a reimagining of a furniture piece. I don't have a before picture for this one, but you can see the case. Working on that area where the old sewing machine used to be housed. And I'm taking an old cabinet and trying to put it in there to create a little catch-all. So the idea is to make this piece into a vanity, and you'll see some of the plans. And this is a good look at the cabinet, what it looked like before. So beside fashioning that little cabinet underneath, I'm also taking a piece of wood and making a new flap to close over, so there's a lid. This part was a lot of trial and error, and there was a lot going on with it, but eventually, you keep working at it bit by bit and you get it. So this new piece of wood actually just fit right into place eventually. And here's Megan. She's painting, and she's using sandbar. So this is trial and error, what we decided on for a color, because I'm using these decoupage papers. Right now I am using Dixie Belle's flat sealer as a decoupage medium to put these papers on with. Now Dixie Belle's coming out with some exciting new decoupage papers, but this is just something I picked up at an antique store, and they're just some graphics that they had done. They're basically like photocopies. So it's taking some work positioning this. I want to get it to a spot that is placed properly, centered, and eventually I'm going to have to slit there so that it will open up. So when you decoupage, you brush underneath, and then you lay the piece down, and then you brush over top of it. And you take your time to make sure that you're getting everything straightened. And again, I am using Dixie Belle's sealer in flat. So you want to take your time with this part. You don't want to get wrinkles. You might get a few wrinkles, and it won't be the end of the world, because we certainly can distress it afterwards, and that is my plan. But if you can avoid the wrinkles, then yeah, that's the best route. So I am super looking forward to Dixie Belle's decoupage papers, but meanwhile, I've been itching to try these designs. There's just a few more. But I love that the background of the paper we were able to match with the sandbar color. I like to take my finger and press down and smooth those areas. And I'm just using a premium chip brush that has seen better days. So not using the best brush, but it doesn't matter because we're only using sealer. So just continue with that decoupage. And I love this piece too. So I love the way this piece is forming. So we had a plan, but it was very vague. I say we because Megan helped me a lot with the design of this piece. So as you know, Megan from past videos is at our store through CareerLink, and I will sorely miss her when she goes to college. She decided on Penn State, so congratulations, Megan. But anyway, continue to put this piece down. And as you see, I have to lift it a little bit and reposition because you want to make it so that it is straight. The last thing you want to do is put it on and then look at it and it's not right. So I had to kind of rework this. And I just love how every idea hinged on the next idea, as you'll see. And I will kind of allude to what I'm talking about, or I'm alluding to it now, but I'll explain more later. So see, I had to fix a wrinkle there. So lift it completely and reposition it. So this was on a piece of paper, but I didn't want to decoupage the whole paper, so we cut the design out first. So that explains why I'm kind of struggling here to make sure that it's straight. If I had just put it on the straight paper, wouldn't have this issue. I'm taking the time to show you this because I want you to see what you might run into when you're doing decoupage. You just need to be patient and keep working it, keep laying it out. Be careful not to tear it. Speaking of tearing, some people prefer to tear around an image rather than cut whenever they're using a design like this from a paper. Maybe gives it more of a feathered edge rather than a cut line. But in this case, we cut. Seems like you can always find a part that isn't quite right. At some point, you need to settle. Megan is busy painting the chair in black, and then we're working on the seat. So removing the padding from the seat, and here's what that looks like when you open up the cabinet. So back to the seat, we're jumping around. Now I'm applying transfers. So I did the top and I'm doing around the sides. I am using Redesign with Prima transfer. And this one I believe is called Lush Floral 2. And I'll have the, I'm also using another one with the black script. I think that was from Vintage Botanical. I will definitely put the names of those transfers in the description box. I am also really looking forward to Dixie Belle coming out with some new transfers very soon. As soon as my decoupage papers arrive, they'll be arriving together. So I'm super excited about that. They're already ordered, so they'll be on the way soon, and we'll be doing some decoupage classes. You want to burnish the transfer a little bit with your hand before you move on. And so I added that section, and now I'm just adding a couple little roses. This is a buildable transfer. In other words, you can cut it apart and just add the elements of it wherever you like. So again, I'm looking forward to the Dixie Belle ones because they're also buildable. The motifs are a little bit smaller, but you get a lot in a package. So, but I love these too. I love the vibrant punch of the color. The sandbar color is probably not one of my favorites. It was chosen simply because of the background of the paper on the decoupage paper, but I love the way it looks with the black, and I love the way it looks with the transfers on it. So I definitely am falling deeply in love with this piece as it progresses. You just continue to burnish the pieces, and I work my way around the corners. And we'll speed things up a little bit for you. And then we get to the seat. So I sort of made a little boo-boo with this one. I put a couple of the leaf sections underneath, but I had already laid down my rose, so I kind of missed a little bit, but it's okay. As I always say, there's really no accidents, because what I'm doing now makes the little things that you miss make sense. I'm distressing this transfer that's on top of the piece. Just taking a 220 grit sandpaper. I'm actually using a sanding sponge from Dixie Belle, which is a 220 grit. I love these because you can sand with it and then turn it over and wipe off your sanding dust. So now I'm using a JRV or Jami Ray Vintage stencil that says beautiful. So the idea is when you open the cabinet, it will say, hello, beautiful. So I start with the T because it's the middle letter in beautiful, and I center it. I made sure that the whole word would fit. And I'm using Caviar. That is the black color that we used on the seat and for the stencil. Now I go ahead and I want to carry on, but I want to also, I'm kind of fanning it dry a little bit. And I do end up making a few smudges, but that gets touched up afterwards. So I continue to do the stencil. I absolutely love these stencils, and I just think they are, in fact, beautiful. There's some different letters in the pack. A lot of them are standard, but some of them are just very fanciful and look different, and they look gorgeous when they're all together. And then on the other side, we're doing the hello. So a 5-letter word, so I take the middle letter, L, and begin with that in the same manner that we did the other side. This time I got a little smarter and I held the stencil up a little bit. When you use these script stencils, you want to sort of connect the letters so it looks like a written word, because if you were to lay the stencils side by side and not connect them, it wouldn't look right. So you just want to make it look like you're actually writing in cursive. So here's the touch-up. Take a little bit of the sandbar with a very fine brush and just touch up the mistakes. And again, it's going to get distressed. So here's my favorite part. Well, it's all my favorite, but here's one of my favorite parts, and that is the waxing. So I am using Dixie Belle's Easy Peasy Spray Wax, and I'm wiping it back, and then I'm taking black wax, of course. And I am so in love with what happened next, because on the outside I knew what it was going to look like, and I thought it really was a great enhancement, kind of aged. I'm using the new La Petite brush, and I love that brush for getting in those little corners like that because it has a little point. But I just love the way it brought out the flowers and just the shadows of the piece and just kind of made it look very vintage. I know you've seen me do this before, but the reason why I use the Easy Peasy Spray Wax first is because it allows you to float the dark wax on there. The black wax would look very stark compared to the chalky surface of the sandbar if you weren't able to work it around. And the Easy Peasy Spray Wax allows you to work it around, and also if you get too much in one area, it sort of acts like an eraser. Waxing is almost as time-consuming as painting sometimes. This piece doesn't require a lot because we're just really going around the outside edges. So there I'm coming back in where I felt like I had too much, or on that area where I didn't really want it, and just wiped back a little bit. It's kind of an eraser in a bottle. I love that stuff. That was my very first wax I ever used. And then I kind of got used to using the paste wax. And the new Best Dang brush from Dixie Belle is a great brush to use with that. But sometimes I just like using the Easy Peasy. In this case, it was really perfect. And now we're speed waxing. onto the inside, doing a little distress on the inside and wiping back the dust. And then the same treatment is going to happen on the inside with the wax. I love, again, what happened here, because the inside gets a real industrial feel with the use of the wax. I say that because not only are we going around the areas, first of all, there's no floral here. There's just that script, that vintage kind of script, and the designs are kind of a little steampunk, if you ask me. The glasses thing is a little steampunk. So I again use the Easy Peasy spray wax, and I wax a lot heavier. And the reason why I say it kind of gets a little industrial is because I also go around the hinges pretty heavily with the wax. So I really love, once I start waxing here, like I said, I go pretty heavily with it. And when I say industrial, it's because I go really heavy on the hinges. So the outside is very feminine with the florals and very distressed, and the wax continues on the inside, but it sort of makes this, it really brings out this motif. In my estimation, it's that steampunk look, and going around the hinges and everything makes it look kind of industrial. So let me know in the comments what you think, but I think it looks pretty cool. I also love peekaboo furniture, meaning that the inside is just as interesting as the outside. To me, that makes the user just all the more wanting to use this piece of furniture. So whenever, another reason I think that this piece, I like it so much on the inside is because I went around all of the detail. So when we get to the other side, where all the parts that lift up, instead of trying to camouflage that that's what this was, we're highlighting that this is a former sewing machine, that it's a piece of equipment. So we're going around all those seams and all the hinges and all those things that might be something you'd want to hide if you were doing it in a different sort of finish. And just wait, there's even more to the surprises yet to come with this piece. You'll have to let us know in the comments if you like this piece, if it's something you would like to try. Speaking of steampunk, the Dixie Belle transfers and papers that are coming out have some really wonderful whimsical designs. There's Alice in Wonderland. There's also hot air balloons and clocks. Those are great steampunk features, and pipes and all kinds of cool stuff. So I know I sound a little excited about the release of these bells and whistles, and I am. See, with every addition of a little bit of wax, it just looks better and better. When customers come in my store and ask my opinion on whether they should wax or whether they should glaze, I always give it to them straight and tell them what I think, and I teach it in classes, but I always add that I'm more of a wax girl. That's just, I just love wax. See, using those hinges as an opportunity, and the seam that goes across. I added a ribbon in there so you can easily lift up that piece. We're going to try to put a mirror in there, but just couldn't figure out the logistics. So I guess I shouldn't worry about getting a job at GM or Cadillac or someplace where I have to figure out how to make a thing function and fold up into a trunk or something. That's not my field of expertise. Although I was pretty pleased with what did go on in this piece with retrofitting it with the little compartmented tray and also the little lid. The piece wasn't without its challenges, that's for sure. I had all kinds of thoughts on what to do with this. There's all kinds of ideas on Pinterest. So I'm pleased with what happened. So the last little pop of color on the inside, the little surprise, is using peony. And I love this color, and it's just so pretty to put on the inside. So really a peekaboo. So you get one surprise when you open the lid, and the second surprise when you open that part. And now for the last final touch is to distress the top of the piece. After everything's dry, I can close the lid and distress. Same treatment, just using the wax around the edges and just kind of over the middle of the flowers a little bit, and she's done. I like to concentrate on the corners, put a lot of effort on those corners. And then just kind of blend it in. Makes a great frame for that floral piece that's in the center. So if, you don't have to lean on transfers to be your design element, but if you do, you can certainly add to them and they just become part of your design element. You are the designer. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please like and share our video. It really helps our channel. And please subscribe. Also, visit us on lavintagedecor.company, on Instagram at lavintagedecor, and on Facebook, we're Lavintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.